guys, my name is Amber from Light Livin' Photography. I'm a portrait photographer and educator. Ever since I started doing professional photography, I've been a Sony shooter. My current camera is the Sony a7 IV, and a lot of my followers are always asking exactly how do you put your focus settings in? How do you set up your back button focus? So today I want to go through and manually show you exactly how I have the best focus settings on my Sony a7 IV. Okay, so when you open up your camera and you're going to push the menu button on the back side of your camera, then you can use that circle dial to scroll down, and you're going to see first a little camera icon, and you're going to go scroll to the right and choose image quality. So one of the most important things is to change your image quality settings. So you're going to scroll down to image quality settings here. And always make sure you're shooting in RAW. That's going to make the file sizes much easier to edit. You're going to have a lot more control over your range. So we always want to shoot both memory cards, so slot 1 and slot 2 in RAW. So you're going to make sure you select RAW. See how you have the different options here. I don't do RAW and JPEG because there's really no point to have both for me. And then scroll down here, and then you can also select if you want uncompressed, lossless compressed, or compressed. RAW compressed is actually a really great option. It compresses the file size for you, but you don't lose any of the quality. So it's a really great option. Most professional photographers I know always shoot in compressed RAW on the Sony camera. So now we're going to go back to the menu here. Hit menu to go back. Okay, so everything here is default that I just scrolled past. The only other change here is I want to make sure you double check that your color space, it should default to sRGB, but you want to make sure your camera is in that setting. Okay, so let's go back to this little menu and record media settings. So that's number 2 on the dial. You're going to go down to number 2 and then scroll right and go down to record media settings. And you're going to want to make sure that you are using simultaneous recording. Unless you only have one memory card and want to just shoot on one memory card, then you're going to just do slot 1 or slot 2, whichever slot you prefer. It doesn't really matter. But if you want to make sure you're using dual card slots, which is so important for a professional photographer because you're taking images that are really important to your clients. And if you have a memory card that's corrupted, you want to make sure you have a backup. So that's why we always have 2 really fast memory cards in the slots. So I always make sure that mine is on simultaneous recording. And then these are just default, and I'll go over drive mode in a second. Let's go back to here, where the exposure and color is. In the menu button below, we're going to see AFMF there on the side in the purple square there. And you're going to click on number 1, go to the right for focus mode. You always want to be in continuous AF for these cameras if you want to be able to use the Eye Autofocus. And that's something that trips up a lot of people. They're like, I bought this camera and I'm going to have to send it back because the Eye Autofocus doesn't work. And it's because they're not shooting in AFC, which means AF continuous mode. So make sure that is selected as an option here. These just say balanced emphasis. I just left those on default. I think, yeah, everything else here is default. Then focus area is an important one. You can also access this with your quick shortcut function button on the back of your camera, which I'll show you in a second. But just to point out which focus area I prefer, you have all these different options with the Sony camera. You have wide. That's going to have a wide focus area. You have a zone area, which selects a certain zone for your photo to focus in. Center fix, that's going to only have the sharpness of the photo be focused in on the center, which I don't like because I want to be able to choose exactly where I want to focus. And then there is spot M. So this one I really like because there's the flexibility of being able to move my spot If I am not focusing on something like a face or an eye, say I want to focus on the maternity, the belly, or hands holding or a ring or something like that, then I can go ahead and use my toggle button on the back of the camera here and move it around to choose the precise focus area that I want, and that will override any other settings. So if I want to focus on something that's not an eye or a face, I do like to use that. So I have my my focus area set for spot medium. That's the spot M one. Here's some other options: the expand spot and tracking spot. That one is great too. Just play around, see which one you prefer, but this is the one that I tend to use. Because if I'm shooting the person and I want to focus on their eyes, then I can just use my Eye Autofocus button, which is a different button I'll show you in just a second. Okay, so let's go back to the menu. Here's the face and eye autofocus, so you want to make sure that that is on. And you also have down here, you can select human, animal, or bird, which is really cool if you're into bird photography or animal photography or something like that. But I shoot only portrait photography, so I am going to select human on that. And all these are just default. You can register faces here. That's an option. I don't ever use it because I primarily shoot portrait sessions and I want to be able to choose if I want to focus on the child or the dad or the mom, and I don't want it to always prioritize the mom or always prioritize the dad. But if you have a wedding, this is great because if you have a sea of faces and you want to always prioritize the bride and the groom, you want to set those faces in the registration faces priority. Focus Assistant, I don't really change anything in that. In peaking display, you can choose to see the colors of where your focus is, but I don't like it. I prefer not to use that. Okay, let's go down to the next important part for me personally is the setup, which is the briefcase icon. And first off, obviously, you're going to want to change your area and your time zone and your date and time, which usually that's set up right when you open the camera because it's going to ask you to set that right away. But you can do that here as well by choosing that and then selecting your date, time, all that. Okay, so after you select your area and your date, you can scroll down to number 3. And this is where the magic my favorite section basically, because you can customize all the keys on the back of your camera to exactly what you want to use them for and what's easiest for you personally. So you don't have to set yours up like mine, but I'll just show you how I like mine just so you can see. So you're going to select custom key dial set. And here it shows the rear, which is the back of the camera, and it has a picture of the back of the camera, and it labels really clearly which button does what. So you can go ahead and change them if you want. I have both 1 and 2 set to Eye Autofocus. You could set one of those for something different. I just like to have both because sometimes I find that my thumb finds this one easier or that one easier. It just changes. So I have both set to Eye Autofocus because it's basically my favorite part about this camera is that you can focus on someone's eyeball, hold it down, track the person. I can be moving, they can be moving, and it stays this little square on their eyeball while they're moving or I am moving. And it's the best part about these mirrorless cameras. So I have that on 1 and 2, and then on number 3 I have white balance because for me white balance is really important and it's something that I change throughout my session, so I want to have a quick shortcut for that. I have it on the back of the camera. I have it set at number 3, and then you can change these other ones to whatever you want. I just left those ones default, but definitely go ahead and play with those and see where you prefer your thumb to go for certain settings. Okay, so that was how I set up my Sony a7 IV. I really hope that helped you guys out. I'm going to link below a PDF guide so you can see and reference it later, step by step, everything that I included in this video today, because sometimes I know we leave the video and then, or maybe we go through the video too fast and it's hard to follow. So I thought it would be helpful to you guys to have a PDF guide. You can go to my website linked below. If you guys have any questions, I'd love for you to leave them in the comments and I will be happy to answer you guys. If you'd like more light and airy photography tips, make sure you guys subscribe below. Thanks so much for watching.